Under old business, we have a challenge from Kathy Haverdansky in regards to an issue. And it was discussed at the last meeting, but nothing was finalized. And there's a gentleman here today, Mark Demo, who has traveled 3 hours from southern New Jersey to explain about these voters' ballots. So I would like to make an exception and have him speak before the challenge, before we vote on the challenge.
Anyone that, if we have a challenge, people should be able to speak on the challenge before you vote, because that's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the challenge right now. Go ahead, Kathy. Okay.
Okay, so, I can, all right, so all I'm going to say is,
Can I just,
absolutely.
so will we send an alert template?
Okay.
Was it my lack of acknowledging something that we should have known that we was beginning the meeting with someone specifically regarding the challenge?
Well, I mean, he could speak at the end of the meeting, but since
I
he
have no
traveled so
problem
far.
with his speaking. I'm asking, was it me or did we not, were we sent information that we didn't have?
There was no.
I asked the chair.
Don, do you want to answer that?
There was no notice about the prior challenge
The
at
last
the
meeting.
time of the last meeting.
So
There
therefore
were
you
different,
don't.
there were different parts of the challenge. One part was rejected, the other part was held. So this was held, this is the next meeting, it was held for. So that's what that.
That's why, so we were not notified. That's the answer to my question, no.
No, and we weren't notified about the
I didn't,
challenge
okay,
before.
but I'm just asking about
Yes.
this one, so. All right, thank you.
Well, it's still part of the same challenge. It was written.
I understand that, sir. I'm just clarifying my own.
Okay.
Getting older, I want to make sure I read things when I
All
get
good,
them.
it's all good. Yes, you did not miss a separate notification.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
What happened to our voting?
What, I don't know. Okay. All right, so all I wanted to say is there was a lot of, and the staff is great, a lot of back and forth with questions and stuff like that, but I asked Mark Demo to be here today because it was his data that was being reviewed on the schedules. It was him. So it's very technical like that, and I asked him if he could come up to explain to you. So when you are actually voting on it, you have all the information, so you can make a fair and rash judgment of what it is. So Mark, if you could explain where the data came from.
Okay, sure.
You want to explain what the challenge is first.
Oh, okay. Okay, the challenge is, right at this moment, is 948 ballots where it seems, based on the data he's going to explain in detail, it seems that these people are no longer Middlesex County residents. And they moved to another state. And the schedule that I gave to Tom Lynch, had this information. It had the town they live in now, and it had the date that they moved, and it had the new state that they lived in, they live in now, and it's based on various days, NCOA and this PCOA. But I wanted him to explain it in detail because it's very technical, and I think you'll find this very interesting. Okay.
Mark?
All right. Thank you for having me. So the data that I shared with Kathy that represents all the challenges related to the people who have moved out of Middlesex County comes from a system called Ellie, right? And it's built by a company called Eagle AI, right? And it's modeled after the ERIC process, right? But ERIC has 24 states voter rolls collected together, and Ellie has 40 states collected together. And Ellie is free to use for me and for you, right? And county, state, Board of Elections, it doesn't matter, right? But, so this Ellie system, all the voter rolls that it collects, 40 of them, have come from the Secretary of States from each of the states, 40 states so far, right? And the voter rolls are sent on a regular basis to the BCC software, right? The same USPS licensee that ERIC uses. The BCC compares the voter records to the state move record, to the move records in the PCOA, which is proprietary change of address database, and then to the NCOA, National Change of Address databases. The criteria for a moved hit on a voter roll name using 60-month PCOA data is based on a match to 4 different kinds of data, which includes utility bills, phone bills, credit card bills, and magazine subscriptions, to name a few. Use of the PCOA data is also in the EAC's, that's the Election Assistance Commission's, best practice recommendation, L-12. Next, after the names are run through the PCOA process, the voter rolls are then run against the 48-month NCOA database. The criteria for a moved hit in that match is with a signed affidavit stating the voter had moved permanently to the new address. This is the same process that Eric uses. And as I said, Eric has 24 state and District of Columbia voter rolls. That's 82 million voters, registered voters in their system. Ellie has 41 states and DC voter rolls and 220 million voters. And so the last thing I'll say is that we're here because the state hasn't done their job yet and run the voter roll information of our state through Eric or Ellie or some other system that compares our voter rolls to other voter records.
So, so that's the explanation.
Any questions, commissioners?
Yes. So, just to be very clear, the 94860, whatever it is, have been run through multiple databases, similar to Eric, which finally, after several years, the state is finally using, and it has come up that these people have moved sometime in the last 48 or 60 months to a new location.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so, just so I understand, but we're not using Eric at this point. We're using, your challenge is based on a different proprietary
Challenge is based on Ellie.
Ellie. And what's the principal, who's the creator of Ellie?
A gentleman by the name of, I can give you the information after the detailed information, but his name is Dr. Rick Richards. He's an entrepreneur and a computer software expert, and he has a company called Eagle AI, and he built the database and financed it and hired the people to work on it.
And what was the purpose of the database?
To do exactly this, to validate voter rolls and to ensure accurate maintenance of voter rolls across the country.
Any other questions? Mark?
I just wanted to add, I mean, this is all simple, very simple. See, I'm an accountant, remember? I just want to keep this very simple, because the way I found this interesting, and when you all know this, is that even with the matching factors that is coming, like first name, middle name, last name, and birthday, just to match on those criteria. You know, to do that, I mean, I asked Google a million times how to do it. It's a very, you know, to have those 4 criteria, it's very rare to have those 4 criteria in the United States population.
But Kathy, but we're not,
No.
but the matches that you're talking about are not related to
Not related
Ellie.
to this, right?
I create the other matches that you threw out, right? The matches between New Jersey and New York in the system that I created here, which gathers on a monthly basis New Jersey voter rolls and New Jersey voter history, and then on a daily basis vote by mail history and early voting history. I'm able to determine, and I have that similar information, not everything, but I have on a monthly basis I get New York voter rolls and I get New York voter history. So I'm able to do a one-to-one comparison. The New York data, the New Jersey, New York data that I sent you is based on exact matches between first name, middle name, last name, and date of birth. And so I don't have Social Security, I don't have driver's license, right, for obvious reasons, but those were exact matches, and they were in my view, and also I've solicited opinions of senior election people across the state. They were valid challenges as well.
that's not what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, we're not talking about
No,
that.
so I just wanted to say that, that these two sources, that they were questioning those residents, and, I just thought that we need to do something to be responsible in order to investigate these
So
challenges
just
that's
to be,
presented. I'm sorry, go ahead,
If I may.
Don. Don, go ahead.
Commissioner Katz?
just to be very clear,
Yes.
these 900 plus people,
40,
48,
yeah,
whatever it is, the databases reflected that based on
Yeah.
new driver's licenses or new, or other things in the new location, shows that they live there. What were the items that they looked at?
Can I expand upon that? Because I have a question in the same
Yes.
same
Yeah,
vein.
I'd say-
I'd really like to understand what data points are used in order to pull this conclusion. Like,
Yeah, the information, it's based on an address hit, an address and name hit. The criteria for a moved hit on a voter roll using 60-month PCOA data is based on a match to 4 different kinds of data, which includes utility bills, phone bills, credit card bills, and magazine subscriptions, to name a few.
so if I changed everything over to my law office instead of my home office, and my law office happened to be in another state, it would come up on that list that I moved.
Right.
Yes, if you filled out a change of address form, you are not, but it's only checking registered voters, not businesses for moves.
No, but
right?
well, let's say like I had reason to change my credit card where it's delivered and what the address is on it from my personal home to my business address. I've had reason to have my mail forwarded in recent months. I've had reason, it sounds like I would be one of the people who would be potentially disenfranchised if we relied on that.
Well, Kathy would be one of the disenfranchised people because she's a legitimate voter who would be disenfranchised if you didn't do the due diligence to find out if that's a legitimate voter or not.
So your
That's
statement.
not
With all due
here-
respect,
Just so we're clear, that's not what disenfranchised means, but
Well, no, I just wanted to.
I'm just reading what, like, you can make a decision, obviously, you'll make your own decision, but it's based on validation from 4 different sources. So if you moved, then you're gonna be in that database, and if you're registered at the original, at your address, and you moved your credit card address or forwarded your information, yes, then you're gonna be picked up,
Yeah,
correct?
no, I'm trying to understand. Is the proposal or the request that this is something we look into for the future, or is your request here today that we kick out 946 people who came up on this list
Well,
today?
I was
mean-
gonna say,
My view would be that, I would hope, let's say going forward, my view would be that you would use this tool, which is free to you, to validate your voter roll on a regular basis, right? That's the least that should happen, right? I'll leave that up to you folks. With respect to whether these votes should be accepted or thrown out, I'll leave that up to you.
It's our commissioner, Snyder.
yeah, if we could just,
I just want, can I just say, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Scott, I just wanted to say that this information was presented to you as like, I don't know what you have, you know what, here, this looks suspicious, I mean, these things don't, can you check these out? That's how the approach was. And the more I learned myself about PCOA and stuff like that, it made sense that with these types of systems, it is a good indicator to say, this might be something that you can look and try to find out if these people really exist. Because everybody knows now, and not everybody fills out a change of address. What, they don't do that. And also, a lot of people don't get paper statements in the mail. Everyone does everything online. So if you're moving from one location to another location, which you just eloquently said, but you were moving to a house, you probably won't, do that change of address. You'll do everything personally yourself. You'll call up your bank, you'll call up your credit card, you do all the steps, you shut the utilities off, you know what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. This information given to you, and it seemed to be really reliable data to take it one step further. Is it 100%? I don't think anything's 100%, but it was to do the due diligence to find out what these people, are they, and I didn't know if you had enough time to do it, but are these people actually Middlesex County people? Okay, I'm sorry, Scott.
And
Commissioner Stein?
I think to your point, Kathy, and I think you definitely are going down the road I was going down. So
Okay.
the challenge is to a particular amount of ballots, I thought it was 981, but it could be 948, whatever that number is. And I think the information given to the board was sufficient enough to warrant having the staff go and handpick each and every one of those ballots before the servers were removed from the stacks so that they could be looked at and analyzed, given that they appeared on this list that was put together, as the commissioner pointed out, by a proprietary organization, so that we can try to make a determination, recommendation from the staff to the board as to whether or not the ballot should be accepted or not accepted based on what the board employees are able to determine with the resources that they have. Understand that the list in and of itself, in our approximation, is not enough information to disqualify a vote. But it is certainly a good lead to a list that should be checked. And so I think the board did a great job in voting to allow the challenge, which should be adjudicated in the same day, to then proceed for 2 weeks so that the board had a chance to analyze those ballots individually. And so we're supposed to hear, I think, the results of that analysis today, and then we can vote on whether or not to accept or reject it.
Excuse me, Scott, did anyone see the list? Did anyone see the schedule? And did you guys,
No.
oh, you didn't see the schedule, okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
May I?
Commissioner Katz?
These 900, what states are they from? All over states?
All different types of, I mean, I have my laptop here.
How many, for purposes of using Commissioner Jallo's example,
Yes,
if you have an office, if you're in your office in another state and you change everything here, they would show up. But if this is New Jersey and these other people are from California or Florida or any state that's not adjacent to New Jersey, then it's extremely unlikely that they would have their office and everything sent to a state that's not even close.
that's
Am I
correct,
correct?
Don. The states are all over the place. I just wanted to answer the question, and that the states are all over the place. They're in California, Missouri, Texas, they are all over the place. Like I said, this was a list to use, and whatever processes you have to examine these things. I mean, it looked a little, they looked suspicious. They looked suspicious.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Moskowitz?
Thank you. They may look suspicious
Yes.
because I'm assuming none of you have two homes or have people in your families. And given another example, my husband has a residence and votes in New Jersey because his life is here in New Jersey. You understand, but he has something in New York.
Right.
So my question is, are you basing it only on the evidence of abodes, for want of a better word that's not coming to me?
I'm
Or for
sorry,
a house and a home?
Okay.
Or because you're seeing votes that are coming in with those names, right? You have names attached to the addresses, you understand? So
Yes.
now if I saw 2 votes coming in, that would be a different one. And I respect, Scott, that you want us to examine it. I just can come up with so many explanations that do not say I'm voting all over the place.
Well, I will have the ability after the election to tell you if Middlesex people who fall on both New York and New Jersey registered voter lists voted in both states, and I'd be happy to share that with you, right?
So you're basing it, but you don't have that
But I don't have that
information
right
to
now.
begin with.
No.
New York doesn't
So it's
provide
just
it
because you
before
found
New
the
Jersey.
address.
That's not the challenge.
But the Middlesex information, the 900 that Kathy presented, there are actually 4,500 names on. There's actually 4,500 names on that list because I've continued to run this list daily after. There's over 45,000 across the state. So you're not alone, right? You're one
I'm
of.
assuming,
Yeah.
as I said, there are many reasons and explanations
Yeah.
for those names coming out.
And there's one can create plenty of anecdotal situations where, yes, I'm just relying on what the data says and we'll present it to you to determine whether it's a valid challenge or not.
Right, I mean, I'm sure that some of them is what you say, but not all, some of them, I mean, this is you know, maybe permanent residence, not a secondary home or something like that. I mean, this is, and also, you know, like
Yes, that's
12 to 17% of Americans move annually, so that's a big number. I mean, you know.
I think the sentiment is, we
Yeah.
certainly appreciate, you know, any additional information that should be considered.
Right.
You know, all I was just trying to understand the way the data
Sure.
was tabulated and put together. I certainly, you know, couldn't resist the opportunity to show a real life example of something that could, you know, end up on that list and not be accurate. You know, that's the way stuff like this works. But I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
Personally speaking for myself, I think we're in a good place where we are. And so, do we have to formally make a decision, Tom, or just how does that?
I think,
What were you gonna
correct
say?
me if I'm wrong, but Chair, I believe we were going to hear from the staff as to what the analysis was.
That's right.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I
Came in late.
I did, I'm sorry, I thought this was gonna be the end.
No.
And,
Well, no,
That's
In the middle of the
Yeah. So if I can, first, I didn't get.
Mark.
And and Kathy. So again, lists like that are extremely useful. And again, you know, Kathy, last year we used that, you know, national change of address. And again, we went through that prior to that election. We're actually able to remove people or make people inactive based off of that information. But we don't use that information alone. And again, as the opinion before you asked me, AG, we also then would send out a correspondence to those voters.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's just one piece of information. So again, based off of last year, we would send out letters to those voters asking if they do indeed still live in New Jersey or do they domicile in another state. And again, last year's record had some registrations. We also included that information. And we did make people inactive based off of the replies. Or again, if someone actively registered and was voting in another state, that was grounds to be able to make someone inactive in New Jersey. For the list that you provided, and again, we focus mostly on the people that you indicated also were registered in another state or had voted in another state. And so I do have that paper I can share with the commissioners, but through the research that staff did, all those individuals had also, in the intermediate time, had taken action in New Jersey through motor vehicles and online registration, updating their registration to New Jersey. So again, for those people where they voted in like another state in 2024, they had in 2025 had actually, affirmed their address in New Jersey through some means, either through motor vehicles or online voter registration, or actually a couple of them actually came to the window here and updated their address. For the remainder of the balance, in terms of the data, and that's how I kind of asked you, Kathy, in terms of like what the
Yes.
lists were, because I was trying to
You missed the
discern.
beginning of it, it's really intense.
I kind of cut the tail end of it,
Okay.
was trying to understand the list as a whole, is whether it was, again, you had in some sections where it was national change of address, siloed, and then also you had a separate one that was, the PCOA, which is proprietary change of address information. So, and again, I didn't know if it was dual run or a separate silo of that, but what we found from that is that, and again, what we would do normally, let's take the mail-in ballots off the table. Again, if you provided us with that list, as you have in the past, we would then use that list and prepare a letter to those voters, and again, ask them, again, we have information provided that says you may not live in New Jersey, can you confirm your domicile? And we send it to the address in New Jersey and whatever address that was provided. So we would do that as during a normal course. In terms of what we were able to do, and again, it was a length done, but a short time amount, was able to affirm that, again, to the best of the information that we have, these people have not had returned sample ballots. They've had no break in terms of delivery of their mail-in ballots or sample ballots. They have active driver's licenses in New Jersey. Again, one of them I will kind of point out, comically, is the county sheriff that's on the ballot today, is one of the people that was flagged as that estate.
Yeah.
So it's in terms of trying to find, like as Mark was saying, in terms of other information to confirm, again, and again, it's a list, and then I'm not how would I say, rejecting it out of hand, but it's a tool to be able to use to then do actions. But in terms of using it as a reason to reject a ballot, unless we had something affirmative to go along with that, and again, that's why we kind of focused on the individuals that are registered out of state or had voted out of state. we don't have anything then to then, you know,
Well, see,
you know,
that
bring
was,
to the commission.
yeah, and that's like, even when you talked and emailed a lot of times, I always even tell Mark, which we can get, you know, possibly additional information, because like what Mark said, he has to Florida, and then New York Roads, you wanted the registration date, are they registered in the other state? But as you see, this takes time to put all that information together,
Yeah,
and the amount of time that
if
we
we
try
had
to
the
do.
registration in
Right,
the other
right.
state, then we could see if an action they took in New Jersey
Exactly.
was
So,
after that
I
or
mean,
before that.
we can do that later, but I think we're really kind of on the same page, everybody. It was just sort of, right? I think we
Yeah. Again, I'm not,
No, no.
I'm not arguing about the
Oh,
list.
no,
The list
no.
is great. I mean, we will use it, and again, for even outside of what the board decides today, we will still use that list, including the duplicates in New York or the Florida, which you outlined,
Florida,
to again
New
send
York.
out those letters to voters, and again confirm whether or not they actually, and again, a lot of the people that we do talk to are snowbirds, people who indicated they went outside of school and came back, people whose you know, family members were sick and they were caring from out of state and came back to New Jersey, or a temporary job. You know, these are the things that people come to, like the anecdotal stories that we get from people in terms of reasons why they may have temporarily changed their address.
And those are situations, but then it might be other ones that we want to see if they voted in both states at the same
Yeah.
time. So,
Can we provide that data? Would you refer to prosecution if we find double?
you know,
I mean,
just,
again, we're
you have
referring them
to,
to-
you have to look at it, like
Confirm.
voted,
Anyone who
you know what I'm
votes,
saying?
who votes
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2 states in one election
Yeah.
gets referred out for prosecution.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that we've done that before based off of records that are provided to our office or that we found ourselves through research.
And what kinds of
And as you can see, it was bipartisan. I don't know if you knew that.
Well,
No doubt.
yeah, I mean, I would say, when we did it last year, I'd say about maybe like, you know, and this is an approximation, probably like 15 to 20% we would get returned back to us. But again, in terms of, you know, what we can do, if failure to reply to the letter then is not in and of itself a reason then to, you know, make someone inactive or in the system. So we need the affirmation from the voter saying, yes, I have, or like as you said, a voting record or registration in another state that then provides us the basis to be able to make that person.
Okay.
Okay.
I have two
Commissioner
comments.
Katz?
The states use the items that are in this database to determine domicile for purposes of whether they're a resident of particular states for tax purposes. They use all of the indices of where they are, all right? That's a determination. Another piece, another anecdotal one, as Commissioner Gallo had, is the situation where the kids grew up in the house. The kids moved away, they are 35 or 40, but for one reason or another, they keep registered, and they moved out of state or wherever, and they're still registered at their parents' address. So the ballots, the vote by the sample ballots don't come back. And if these things are sent to the parents' address, they come back and say, sure, we're still living here. That doesn't mean they're still living there when we have indicia showing that these particular people, not their parents, live somewhere else. So sending a letter to the old address, if the parents or some other relatives live there, is not, and they come back and say something, is not really necessarily proof, independent proof that they really live there.
But not everyone is the same, and that is,
giving you
some
an
it might work, and in that situation it might not.
Not a bad-
But in that situation, you know, it's like, in the registration, if you can get the registration date in that state and in New Jersey, and they're registered in both states, that would look suspicious, and then you can see if they vote. But that's very technical with more,
Well, and again, I'll
Yes.
even take it a step further, is
Right.
that the board, through, and again, other counties have, you know, maybe some resource, but other counties do have investigations units that will go out to the
do
field.
you guys have that? Like people that would go out and just be nice
And
and
again,
ask them?
if we had more staff,
I'm
put
telling you,
Maria
I
in
think,
cards.
I think I know some people that might want to do that.
But
Or
again, sometimes it might be a seasonal position or
I
part-time
think
position.
some people might even volunteer, make it
So
by
I'm sorry, just for the sake of moving
I don't want
along,
you
because we do
jokes.
have quite a lot of business to take care of.
Yes, sir.
So, Chair, if you're okay, can we have a motion to accept or reject the ballots, the challenge?
What,
We're hearing the challenge, right? That's what we're doing?
Yeah, yes,
So can we have,
can
so
we
we-
follow
I
through?
think the challenge, if folks bring the challenge been heard, we've heard from the staff. Unless the commissioners have any particular questions of the staff, can we make a motion to, I'll make a motion if you'd like to, if you're willing to entertain it.
Well, we have to have a motion one way or another, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, what was your
You can make a
motion,
motion.
Scott?
I was asking if you're willing to entertain a motion on the challenge.
To accept the challenge.
I wasn't going to motion to accept it.
I know, I was gonna say.
No, it's a question whether you're going to vote yes or no.
Yeah.
It depends which we do. Okay, I'll make the motion that we accept the challenge, so then we'll,
Okay.
so a yes means accepting the challenge, and no means not accepting the challenge.
Okay.
Is it
And
clear?
then that's it.
Do you have a second?
We have a second on that?
I'll second.
April?
Chairman Engel?
Yes, to accept the challenge.
Commissioner Dow?
No.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes to accept the challenge.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
No.
Commissioner Benjavenga?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Absolutely not.
3-3.
Okay.
Which means that it goes.
Goes to a judge.
It goes to the court.
That's what. You know how hard it is to get somebody who somebody who reports as being diseased? Oh, good luck.
All right, we're going to go back to our full schedule now. Mark, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Move to 5 minutes.
Are you guys going to send out letters? Is that,
We don't have to. We're going to do business.
Not domiciled here, not in the
are you guys going to send out letters based on the challenge, or that's not happening? You're not following up any with that 948?
I mean, that would be separate and apart from that. If we did letters to that night, but that would be,
No, I mean, does that agree upon that, or you have to do a vote on that? A separate vote?
no, that's
No.
just the normal course of maintaining the list. Yeah,
All right, I just want to check.
yeah.
Most of the other things that we've sent to the judge, because we couldn't agree, were single votes, et cetera, et cetera. You say it goes to the judge. Does the judge have a hearing? Do people do the challenges, and other people have a right to explain to the judge what their thing is?
Well, let me reach out to the AG. and then
Okay, and I want you to make sure, if that's the case, that you advise the people who brought the challenge.
Sure.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Is this today, or?
I took.
Oh, good.
Judge will be
After
I just
lunch.
wanted to know what is happening.
It's going to be in the next week or two.
Okay. All right.